The philosophical scripture, the Discourses, is brought to you by not a prophet org, the place on the internet to find spiritual guidance powered by artificial intelligence. Chapter 14, Tunasso. When a certain Roman entered with his son and listened to one reading, Epictetus said, "This is the method of instruction," and he stopped. When the Roman asked him to go on, Epictetus said, "Every art, when it is taught, causes labor to him who is unacquainted with it and is unskilled in it, and indeed the things which proceed from arts immediately show their use in the purpose for which they were made, and most of them contain something attractive and pleasing. For indeed to be present and to observe how a shoemaker learns is not a pleasant thing, but the shoe is useful and also not disagreeable to look at, and the discipline of a smith, when he is learning, is very disagreeable to one who chances to be present and is a stranger to the art, but the work shows the use of the art. But you will see this much more in music, for if you are present while a person is learning, the discipline will appear most disagreeable, and yet the results of music are pleasing and delightful to those who know nothing of music. And here we conceive the work of a philosopher to be something of this kind. He must adapt his wish to what is going on, so that neither any of the things which are taking place shall take place contrary to our wish, nor any of the things which do not take place shall not take place when we wish that they should. From this the result is to those who have so arranged the work of philosophy, not to fall in the desire, nor to fall in with that which they would avoid, without uneasiness, without fear, without perturbation to pass through life themselves, together with their associates maintaining the relations both natural and acquired, as the relation of son, of father, of brother, of citizen, of man, of wife, of neighbor, of fellow, traveler, of ruler, of ruled. The work of a philosopher we conceive to be something like this. It remains next to inquire how this must be accomplished. We see then that the carpenter, when he has learned certain things, becomes a carpenter. The pilot, by learning certain things, becomes a pilot. May it not, then, in philosophy also not be sufficient to wish to be wise and good, and that there is also a necessity to learn certain things? We inquire, then, what these things are. The philosophers say that we ought first to learn that there is a God, and that he provides for all things. Also that it is not possible to conceal from him our acts, or even our intentions and thoughts. The next thing is to learn what is the nature of the gods, for such as they are discovered to be, he, who would please and obey them, must try with all his power to be like them. If the divine is faithful, man also must be faithful. If it is free, man also must be free. If beneficent, man also must be beneficent. If magnanimous, man also must be magnanimous. As being, then, an imitator of God, he must do and say everything consistently with this fact. With what then must we begin? If you will enter on the discussion, I will tell you that you must first understand names. So, then, you say that I do not now understand names. You do not understand them. How, then, do I use them? Just as the illiterate use written language, as cattle use appearances. For use is one thing, understanding is another. But if you think that you understand them, produce whatever word you please, and let us try whether we understand it. But it is a disagreeable thing for a man to be confuted who is now old, and, it may be, has now served his 3 campaigns. I too know this, for now you are come to me as if you were in want of nothing, and what could you even imagine to be wanting to you? You are rich, you have children and a wife, perhaps, and many slaves. Caesar knows you, in Rome you have many friends, you render their dues to all, you know how to requite him who does you a favor, and to repay in the same kind him who does a wrong. What do you lack? If then I shall show you that you lack the things most necessary and the chief things for happiness, and that hitherto you have looked after everything rather than what you ought, and, to crown all, that you neither know what God is, nor what man is, nor what is good, nor what is bad. And as to what I have said about your ignorance of other matters, that may perhaps be endured, but if I say that you know nothing about yourself, how is it possible that you should endure me and bear the proof and stay here? It is not possible, but you immediately go off in bad humor. And yet what harm have I done you? Unless the mirror also injures the ugly man because it shows him to himself such as he is. Unless the physician also is supposed to insult the sick man when he says to him, Man, do you think that you ail nothing, but you have a fever, go without food today, drink water. And no one says, What an insult! But if you say to a man, Your desires are inflamed, your aversions are low, your intentions are inconsistent, your pursuits are not comfortable to nature, your opinions are rash and false, the man immediately goes away and says, He has insulted me. Our way of dealing is like that of a crowded assembly. Beasts are brought to be sold and oxen, and the greater part of the men come to buy and sell, and there are some few who come to look at the market and to inquire how it is carried on, and why, and who fixes the meeting, and for what purpose. So it is here also in this assembly. Some like cattle trouble themselves about nothing except their fodder. For to all of you who are busy about possessions and lands and slaves and magisterial offices, these are nothing except fodder. But there are a few who attend the assembly, men who love to look on and consider what is the world, who governs it. Has it no governor? And how is it possible that a city or a family cannot continue to exist, not even the shortest time without an administrator and guardian, and that so great and beautiful a system should be administered with such order, and yet without a purpose and by chance? There is then an administrator. What kind of administrator, and how does he govern? And who are we, who were produced by him, and for what purpose? Have we some connection with him, and some relation toward him, or none? This is the way in which these few are affected, and then they apply themselves only to this one thing, to examine the meeting and then to go away. What then? They are ridiculed by the many, as the spectators at the fair are by the traders. And if the beasts had any understanding, they would ridicule those who admired anything else than fodder. Chapter 15. To or against those who obstinately persist in what they have determined. When some persons have heard these words, that a man ought to be constant, and that the will is naturally free and not subject to compulsion, but that all other things are subject to hindrance, to slavery, and are in the power of others, they suppose that they ought without deviation to abide by everything which they have determined. But in the first place, that which has been determined ought to be sound. I require tone in the body, but such as exists in a healthy body, in an athletic body. But if it is plain to me that you have the tone of a frenzied man, and you boast of it, I shall say to you, Man, seek the physician. This is not tone, but atony. In a different way, something of the same kind is felt by those who listen to these discourses in a wrong manner, which was the case with one of my companions, who for no reason resolved to starve himself to death. I heard of it when it was the 3rd day of his abstinence from food, and I went to inquire what had happened. I have resolved, he said. But still tell me what it was which induced you to resolve, for if you have resolved rightly, we shall sit with you and assist you to depart. But if you have made an unreasonable resolution, change your mind. We ought to keep to our determinations. What are you doing, man? We ought to keep not to all our determinations, but to those which are right. For if you are now persuaded that it is right, do not change your mind, if you think fit, but persist and say, We ought to abide by our determinations. Will you not make the beginning and lay the foundation in an inquiry whether the determination is sound or not sound, and so then build on it firmness and security. But if you lay a rotten and ruinous foundation, will not your miserable little building fall down the sooner? The more and the stronger are the materials which you shall lay on it. Without any reason would you withdraw from us out of life a man who is a friend and a companion, a citizen of the same city, both the great and the small city. Then, while you are committing murder and destroying a man who has done no wrong, do you say that you ought to abide by your determinations? And if it ever in any way came into your head to kill me, ought you to abide by your determinations? Now this man was with difficulty persuaded to change his mind. But it is impossible to convince some persons at present, so that I seem now to know, what I did not know before, the meaning of the common saying, that you can neither persuade nor break a fool. May it never be my lot to have a wise fool for my friend. Nothing is more untractable. I am determined, the man says. Madmen are also, but the more firmly they form a judgment on things which do not exist, the more elibor they require. Will you not act like a sick man and call in the physician? I am sick, master, help me. Consider what I must do. It is my duty to obey you. So it is here also. I know not what I ought to do, but I am come to learn. Not so, but speak to me about other things. Upon this I have determined. What other things? For what is greater and more useful than for you to be persuaded that it is not sufficient to have made your determination, and not to change it? This is the tone of madness, not of health. I will die if you compel me to this. Why, man, what has happened? I have determined. I have had a lucky escape that you have not determined to kill me. I take no money. Why? I have determined. Be assured that with the very tone which you now use in refusing to take, there is nothing to hinder you at some time from inclining without reason to take money, and then saying, I have determined. As in a distempered body, subject to defluxions, the humor inclines sometimes to these parts and then to those, so too a sickly soul knows not which way to incline. But if to this inclination and movement there is added a tone, then the evil becomes past help and cure. Chapter 16. That we do not strive to use our opinions about good and evil. Where is the good? In the will. Where is the evil? In the will. Where is neither of them? In those things which are independent of the will. Well then, does any one among us think of these lessons out of the schools? Does any one meditate by himself to give an answer to things, as in the case of questions? Is it day? Yes. Is it night? No. Well, is the number of stars even? I cannot say. When money is shown to you, have you studied to make the proper answer, that money is not a good thing? Have you practiced yourself in these answers, or only against sophisms? Why do you wonder, then, if in the cases which you have studied, in those you have improved? But in those which you have not studied, in those you remain the same. When the rhetorician knows that he has written well, that he has committed to memory what he has written, and brings an agreeable voice, why is he still anxious? Because he is not satisfied with having studied. What then does he want? To be praised by the audience. For the purpose, then, of being able to practice declamation, he has been disciplined, but with respect to praise and blame he has not been disciplined. For when did he hear from anyone what praise is, what blame is, what the nature of each is, what kind of praise should be sought, or what kind of blame should be shunned? And when did he practice this discipline which follows these words? Why then do you still wonder if, in the matters which a man has learned, there he surpasses others, and in those in which he has not been disciplined, there he is the same with the many? So the lute player knows how to play, sings well, and has a fine dress, and yet he trembles when he enters on the stage. For these matters he understands, but he does not know what a crowd is, nor the shouts of a crowd, nor what ridicule is. Neither does he know what anxiety is, whether it is our work or the work of another, whether it is possible to stop it or not. For this reason, if he has been praised, he leaves the theatre puffed up, but if he has been ridiculed, the swollen bladder has been punctured and subsides. This is the case also with ourselves. What do we admire? Externals. About what things are we busy? Externals. And have we any doubt then why we fear or why we are anxious? What then happens when we think the things which are coming on us to be evils? It is not in our power not to be afraid. It is not in our power not to be anxious. Then we say, Lord God, how shall I not be anxious? Fool, have you not hands? Did not God make them for you? Sit down now and pray that your nose may not run. Wipe yourself rather, and do not blame him. Well then, has he given to you nothing in the present case? Has he not given to you endurance? Has he not given to you magnanimity? Has he not given to you manliness? When you have such hands, do you look for one who shall wipe your usant nose? But we neither study these things nor care for them. Give me a man who cares how he shall do anything, not for the obtaining of a thing, but who cares about his own energy. What man, when he is walking about, cares for his own energy? Who, when he is deliberating, cares about his own deliberation, and not about obtaining that about which he deliberates? And if he succeeds, he is elated and says, How well we have deliberated! Did I not tell you, brother, that it is impossible, when we have thought about anything, that it should not turn out thus? But if the thing should turn out otherwise, the wretched man is humbled. He knows not even what to say about what has taken place. Who among us, for the sake of this matter, has consulted a seer? Who among us, as to his actions, has not slept in indifference? Who, give to me one, that I may see the man whom I have long been looking for, who is truly noble and ingenuous, whether young or old. Name him. Why then are we still surprised, if we are well practiced in thinking about matters, but in our acts are low, without decency, worthless, cowardly, impatient of labor, altogether bad? For we do not care about things, nor do we study them. But if we had feared not death or banishment, but fear itself, we should have studied not to fall into those things which appear to us evils. Now in the school we are irritable and wordy, and if any little question arises about any of these things, we are able to examine them fully. But drag us to practice, and you will find us miserably shipwrecked. Let some disturbing appearance come on us, and you will know what we have been studying, and in what we have been exercising ourselves. Consequently, through want of discipline, we are always adding something to the appearance, and representing things to be greater than what they are. For instance, as to myself, when I am on a voyage and look down on the deep sea, or look round on it and see no land, I am out of my mind and imagine that I must drink up all this water if I am wrecked, and it does not occur to me that 3 pints are enough. What then disturbs me? The sea? No, but my opinion. Again, when an earthquake shall happen, I imagine that the city is going to fall on me. Is not one little stone enough to knock my brains out? What then are the things which are heavy on us and disturb us? What else than opinions? What else than opinions lies heavy upon him who goes away and leaves his companions and friends and places and habits of life? Now little children, for instance, when they cry on the nurse leaving them for a short time, forget their sorrow if they receive a small cake. Do you choose then that we should compare you to little children? No, by Zeus, for I do not wish to be pacified by a small cake, but by right opinions. And what are these? Such as a man ought to study all day, and not to be affected by anything that is not his own, neither by companion nor place nor gymnasia, and not even by his own body, but to remember the law, and to have it before his eyes. And what is the divine law? To keep a man's own, not to claim that which belongs to others, but to use what is given, and when it is not given, not to desire it, and when a thing is taken away, to give it up readily and immediately, and to be thankful for the time that a man has had the use of it. If you would not cry for your nurse and mamma. For what matter does it make by what thing a man is subdued, and on what he depends? In what respect are you better than he who cries for a girl, if you grieve for a little gymnasium, and little porticos, and young men, and such places of amusement? Another comes and laments that he shall no longer drink the water of Dirce. Is the Martian water worse than that of Dirce? But I was used to the water of Dirce, and you in turn will be used to the other. Then, if you become attached to this also, cry for this too, and try to make a verse like the verse of Euripides, the hot baths of Nero and the Martian water. See how tragedy is made when common things happen to silly men. When then shall I see Athens again, and the Acropolis? A wretch, are you not content with what you see daily? Have you anything better or greater to see than the sun, the moon, the stars, the whole earth, the sea? But if indeed you comprehend him who administers the whole, and carry him about in yourself, do you still desire small stones and a beautiful rock? When, then, you are going to leave the sun itself and the moon, what will you do? Will you sit and weep like children? Well, what have you been doing in the school? What did you hear? What did you learn? Why did you write yourself a philosopher, when you might have written the truth? As, I made certain introductions, and I read Chrysippus, but I did not even approach the door of a philosopher. For how should I possess anything of the kind which Socrates possessed, who died as he did, who lived as he did, or anything such as Diogenes possessed? Do you think that any one of such men wept or grieved, because he was not going to see a certain man, or a certain woman, nor to be in Athens or in Corinth? But if it should so happen, in Susa or in Ecbatana, for if a man can quit the banquet when he chooses, and no longer amuse himself, does he still stay and complain, and does he not stay, as at any amusement, only so long as he is pleased? Such a man, I suppose, would endure perpetual exile or to be condemned to death. Will you not be weaned now, like children, and take more solid food, and not cry after mammas and nurses, which are the lamentations of old women? But if I go away, I shall cause them sorrow. You cause them sorrow, by no means, but that will cause them sorrow which also causes you sorrow, opinion. What have you to do then? Take away your own opinion, and if these women are wise, they will take away their own. If they do not, they will lament through their own fault. My man, as the proverb says, make a desperate effort on behalf of tranquility of mind, freedom, and magnanimity. Lift up your head at last as released from slavery. Dare to look up to God and say, Deal with me for the future as thou wilt. I am of the same mind as thou art. I am thine. I refuse nothing that pleases thee. Lead me where thou wilt. Clothe me in any dress thou choosest. Is it thy will that I should hold the office of a magistrate, that I should be in the condition of a private man? Stay there or be in exile, be poor, be rich. I will make thy defense to men in behalf of all these conditions. I will show the nature of each thing what it is. You will not do so, but sit in an ox's belly, and wait for your mamma till she shall feed you. Who would Hercules have been, if he had sat at home? He would have been Eurystheus, and not Hercules. Well, and in his travels through the world, how many intimates and how many friends had he? But nothing more dear to him than God. For this reason it was believed that he was the Son of God, and he was. In obedience to God, then, he went about purging away injustice and lawlessness. But you are not Hercules, and you are not able to purge away the wickedness of others, nor yet are you, Theseus, able to pure away the evil things of Attica. Clear away your own, from yourself, from your thoughts cast away, instead of procrusts and scion, sadness, fear, desire, envy, malevolence, avarice, effeminacy, intemperance. But it is not possible to eject these things otherwise than by looking to God only, by fixing your affections on Him only, by being consecrated to His commands. But if you choose anything else, you will with sighs and groans be compelled to follow what is stronger than yourself, always seeking tranquility and never able to find it. For you seek tranquility there where it is not, and you neglect to seek it where it is. Chapter 17. How we must adapt preconceptions to particular cases. What is the first business of him who philosophizes? To throw away self, conceit. For it is impossible for a man to begin to learn that which he thinks that he knows. As to things then which ought to be done and ought not to be done, and good and bad, and beautiful and ugly, all of us talking of them at random go to the philosophers, and on these matters we praise, we censure, we accuse, we blame, we judge and determine about principles honorable and dishonorable. But why do we go to the philosophers? Because we wish to learn what we do not think we know. And what is this? Theorems, for we wish to learn what philosophers say as being something elegant and acute, and some wish to learn that they may get profit what they learn. It is ridiculous then to think that a person wishes to learn one thing and will learn another, or further, that a man will make proficiency in that which he does not learn. But the many are deceived by this, which deceived also the rhetorician Theopompus, when he blames even Plato for wishing everything to be defined. For what does he say? Did none of us, before you use the words good or just? Or do we utter the sounds in an unmeaning and empty way without understanding what they severally signify? Now who tells you, Theopompus, that we had not natural notions of each of these things and preconceptions? But it is not possible to adapt preconceptions to their correspondent objects if we have not distinguished them, and inquired what object must be subjected to each preconception. You may make the same charge against physicians also, for who among us did not use the words healthy and unhealthy before Hippocrates lived, or did we utter these words as empty sounds? For we have also a certain preconception of health, but we are not able to adapt it. For this reason one says, abstain from food, another says, give food, another says, bleed, and another says, use cupping. What is the reason? Is it any other than that a man cannot properly adapt the preconception of health to particulars? So it is in this matter also, in the things which concern life. Who among us does not speak of good and bad, of useful and not useful? For who among us has not a preconception of each of these things? Is it then a distinct and perfect preconception? Show this. How shall I show this? Adapt the preconception properly to the particular things. Plato, for instance, subjects definitions to the preconception of the useful, but you to the preconception of the useless. Is it possible, then, that both of you are right? How is it possible? Does not one man adapt the preconception of good to the matter of wealth, and another not to wealth, but to the matter of pleasure and to that of health? For generally, if all of us who use those words know sufficiently each of them, and need no diligence in resolving, the notions of the preconceptions, why do we differ? Why do we quarrel? Why do we blame one another? And why do I now allege this contention with one another and speak of it? If you yourself properly adapt your preconceptions, why are you unhappy? Why are you hindered? Let us omit at present the second topic about the pursuits and the study of the duties which relate to them. Let us omit also the third topic, which relates to the ascents, I give up to you these two topics. Let us insist upon the first, which presents an almost obvious demonstration that we do not properly adapt the preconceptions. Do you now desire that which is possible and that which is possible to you? Why then are you hindered? Why are you unhappy? Do you not now try to avoid the unavoidable? Why then do you fall in with anything which you would avoid? Why are you unfortunate? Why, when you desire a thing, does it not happen, and when you do not desire it, does it happen? For this is the greatest proof of unhappiness and misery. I wish for something, and it does not happen. And what is more wretched than I? It was because she could not endure this that Medea came to murder her children, an act of a noble spirit in this view at least, for she had a just opinion what it is for a thing not to succeed, which a person wishes. Then she says, Thus I shall be avenged on him who has wronged and insulted me, and what shall I gain if he is punished thus? How then shall it be done? I shall kill my children, but I shall punish myself also, and what do I care? This is the aberration of soul which possesses great energy. For she did not know wherein lies the doing of that which we wish, that you cannot get this from without, nor yet by the alteration and new adaptation of things. Do not desire the man, and nothing which you desire will fall to happen. Do not obstinately desire that he shall live with you. Do not desire to remain in Corinth, and, in a word, desire nothing than that which God wills. And who shall hinder you? Who shall compel you? No man shall compel you any more than he shall compel Zeus. When you have such a guide, and your wishes and desires are the same as his, why do you fear disappointment? Give up your desire to wealth and your aversion to poverty, and you will be disappointed in the one, you will fall into the other. Well, give them up to health, and you will be unfortunate. Give them up to magistracies, honors, country, friends, children, in a word, to any of the things which are not in man's power. But give them up to Zeus and to the rest of the gods. Surrender them to the gods, let the gods govern. Let your desire and aversion be ranged on the side of the gods, and wherein will you be any longer unhappy? But if, lazy wretch, you envy and complain, and are jealous and fear, and never cease for a single day complaining both of yourself and of the gods, why do you still speak of being educated? What kind of an education, man? Do you mean that you have been employed about sophistical syllogisms? Will you not, if it is possible, unlearn all these things and begin from the beginning, and see at the same time that hitherto you have not even touched the matter, and then, commencing from this foundation, will you not build up all that comes after, so that nothing may happen which you do not choose, and nothing shall fail to happen which you do choose? Give me one young man who has come to the school with this intention, who has become a champion for this matter, and says, I give up everything else, and it is enough for me if tea shall ever be in my power to pass my life free from hindrance and free from trouble, and to stretch out my neck to all things like a free man, and to look up to heaven as a friend of God, and fear nothing that can happen. Let any of you point out such a man that I may come, young man, into the possession of that which is your own. It is your destiny to adorn philosophy. Yours are these possessions, yours these books, yours these discourses. Then when he shall have labored sufficiently and exercised himself in this of the matter, let him come to me again and say, I desire to be free from passion and free from perturbation, and I wish as a pious man and a philosopher and a diligent person to know what is my duty to the gods, what to my parents, what to my brothers, what to my country, what to strangers. Come also to the second matter, this also is yours. But I have now sufficiently studied the second part also, and I would gladly be secure and unshaken, and not only when I am awake, but also when I am asleep, and when I am filled with wine, and when I am melancholy. Man, you are a god, you have great designs. No, but I wish to understand what Chrysippus says in his treatise of Pseudomenos. Will you not hang yourself, wretch, with such your intention, and what good will it do you? You will raid the whole with sorrow, and you will speak to others trembling, thus you also do. Do you wish me, brother, to read to you, and you to me? You write excellently, my man, and you also excellently in the style of Xenophon, and you in the style of Plato, and you in the style of Antisthenes. Then, having told your dreams to one another, you return to the same things, your desires are the same, your aversions the same, your pursuits are the same, and your designs and purposes. You wish for the same things and work for the same. In the next place you do not even seek for one to give you advice, but you are vexed if you hear such things. Then you say, an ill-natured old fellow, when I was going away, he did not weep, nor did he. Say, into what danger you are going. If you come off safe, my child, I will burn lights. This is what a good-natured man would do. It will be a great thing for you if you do return safe, and it will be worthwhile to burn lights for such a person, for you ought to be immortal and exempt from disease. Casting away, then, as I say, this conceit of thinking that we know something useful, we must come to philosophy as we apply to geometry and to music. But if we do not, we shall not even approach to proficiency, though we read all the collections and commentaries of Chrysippus and those of Antipater and Archedimus.